Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Mamlaka Brokers Network. I am your host of today, Veronique Lawson, coming to you right here live from our local studio, where in Savannah, Georgia. Allow me please to reiterate what Mamlaka Brokers Network stands for. You are welcome, welcome, welcome. MBN is a platform designed to empower people from all walks of life with time-tested principles for kingdom living effectively. Our aim is not but limited to imparting knowledge of understanding by providing our viewer with a practical solution to their daily struggle. But most importantly, to bridge the gap of division within the ecclesia of Christ Jesus. Today, we are joined by a distinguished, prominent, and first-class kingdom ambassador and a dynamic leader in the government, Mayor Derrick R. Wood. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today? All the way from Virginia, USA. Wow. How are you, Mayor? How are you? Welcome.
Oh my gosh, I am blessed and highly favored, Ambassador Lawson. I'm excited to be back on the show with you.
Great. So our topic today is Kingdom Access, as you can see right there on the screen. And this is a privilege. Thank you very much. So approaching what is access? Access is actually a privilege that is given to you by a given government. And in Second Corinthians chapter 1, verse 20, Paul says that all the access of God or the promises of God are in Him. In Him. So everything is locked up to God. So actually, all the individual who would like to want to have access may first be in Him. If my question to you today is, are you in God or are you a kingdom citizen? Only you alone can answer that one so that you will be able to access all the promises that God has for you in this life. And know those who dwell in the presence of God, when they dwell in the presence of God, they receive a present from God. So today, Mayor Derrick Wood will actually shed some light into how you could effectively access having the kingdom access. Please let me introduce him now by his own biography. Derrick Wood is a successful author, a veteran, an entrepreneur, a family man, and a current serving mayor of Dumfries, Virginia, respected as a leader wherever he goes, who has gathered the support of many with commitment to community service and his relentless quest to create a world where excellence is the standard. My goodness. Constantly pursuing higher heights, the Marine veteran can be found ushering in various waves of purpose, full living, knowing firsthand the power of perseverance, who empower others to pursue their purpose with vigor and intentionality. His modern and unique approach to leadership and impact have left room for opportunity to share his transformational words of wisdom and rediscovering purpose, refocusing vision, clarifying potential, and much more. With an air of relatability and true sense of confidence, Derrick R. Wood served everyone he encounters with humility and charm. He is the founder and pit master of Divine Barbecue in Motion, a mobile barbecue gathering company, restaurant, and competition team. He and Divine Barbecue team happily and successfully serve the DMV, which is the Dumfries, Virginia area, with food that is full of flavor and cooked to perfection. Derrick, who reside in Dumfries, Virginia, with his beautiful wife and children. So sit back today, put all your notepad, and hear for yourself the tale from our guest today, Ambassador Derrick Wood. But today we will address him with his title, Mayor Derrick Wood. One thing I will ask of you before I let you sit back, buy a share in this broadcast or in this platform, and just by being the media evangelist, share this broadcast with all the people in your entourage. Before I let the floor to Mayor Derry Wood, I want to acknowledge those who are already watching us right now live all the way from Brazil. Beautiful Eliana Morae, bonja, my darling. How are you? How are you, my darling? And all the way from Germany, we have Ambassador George Abraham, who is watching us. And also all the way from Spain, we have beautiful Queen Victoria watching us. So please, Mayor Derry Wood, the floor is yours. Tell us what does kingdom access really mean and how easily the people can get to that access and do everything that God has placed them on the earth to do. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, Ambassador Lawson, thank you for extremely this opportunity to come back and to talk to ambassadors from all over the world, Germany, Brazil, Sweden, the Americas. You know, I'm honored to just be able to share a topic that's near and dear because, you know, our spiritual father really took the time to really teach us these kingdom principles. And I think the principle of access, if people really understand that access is better than ownership, right? And when you think about access, first of all, you know, for those who don't really understand what a kingdom is and what a king's domain, and everybody has to first find out like what their domain is, like what they're gifted in, like what their true purpose is, like why they was created. There's over about 8 billion people on the planet right now. And you got to really identify that no one has your DNA, no one has your chemical makeup, no one has your fingerprint. You were created to be you. Like there's no one in the world that can be you. And so you have something special that the world needs. You have your own king's domain. You have your own gift. I think that one of the greatest politicians to ever live, King Solomon, said, your gift makes room for you. Like people are looking for your gift, right? Your gift is the thing that you have access to. You might not have ownership of it, but you have access. Just think about it. Like if I can tell you the perfect story about access, I like to tell you the story of not just the prodigal son, but the prodigal brother who was in the house the whole time. And it reminds me of the story of the son who went off and he had all of this wasteful living to the point where he made himself a citizen of the company, the country that he was in. And he got to the point where he was eating with the pigs. He recognized that the servants in his father's house were eating better than he was eating. So he made his way back home just to ask his father if he could be a servant in his house. His father, with great expectation, knew that his son was eventually going to come back home, saw his son from afar out because he expected his son to go back, ran off with a robe, covered his son, put the seal back on his son's finger, and killed the fattest calf. Meanwhile, the brother who was in the house the whole time, he was jealous. He was upset at the fact that he was in the house the whole time, and he felt like his daddy was showing so much favor. And the father looked to him and said, son, you had access the entire time to everything, to the calf, to the seal, like you never lost it. And you're so concerned that I had to cover my other son. So what is access? I'm glad you asked. Access gives you the ability not to really own everything, but the fact that you got access to everything that's in your kingdom. Once you recognize who you are in your lineage, if you are a true ambassador and you've taken on the citizenship of the country of heaven, right? Because heaven is a real place, right? Earth is a real place, right? So you have dual citizenship. You're an ambassador representing heaven, meaning as an ambassador, heaven is responsible to give you certain privileges. Heaven is responsible to make sure that you have everything you need as long as you represent the country in which you come from. Recognize what an ambassador is. An ambassador has all of their bills taken care of. An ambassador has their housing taken care of. Ambassador doesn't have to pay for their education system. But an ambassador also has no opinion of their own. An ambassador only represents the thoughts, the opinions of the kingdom in which he comes from, which is a very important point when you begin to think about what access is all about. It gives you a sense of, I might not have anything, but I got access to everything. Let me say that again. You might not have anything, but you got access to everything by faith, right? And it's so faith is the currency that activates all the access that you need. And the faith all starts with your mind, because as you think, that's who you are. And so you got to represent and you got to believe, and you have to walk in a certain level of responsibility, a certain level of authority, knowing that by faith, you got access to everything you need. And so kingdom access represents you having domain over your gifts, over your talents, and as you begin to operate in your area of gifting. Think about it. Once you become known for your gift and the area of domain that you have, you don't have to promote it, but people are going to be looking for you. Think about it. The mango tree doesn't have to promote the mangoes. People come from all over to seek the mangoes. And the mango tree produces the mangoes, and it's people not coming to look and hug on the tree. It's not people to admire the grove and the sand, but people are coming to the mango tree for one thing. They're coming for mangoes. And if the mango tree doesn't produce, just like when the fig tree doesn't produce, right? Because they have access, you have a level of responsibility. Like your access comes with responsibility, your ability to respond to what you have. And your lack of response will kind of deny your access. So it's not what you know that makes you who you are. It's what you do with what you know. It's how you responded. Life is ultimately 10% what happens and 90% of how you respond to the things that happen. And so how are you responding to the things? How are you taking advantage of this information, right? Is this information falling in a place as we begin to talk about it? Are you actually taking action? Because it's not what you know that makes you who you are. It's ultimately what you do with what you know. Is this making sense? Are y'all tracking what I'm saying? Or are y'all picking up what we're putting down when it comes to talking about having this type of access?
Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I could hear you perfectly. Thank you very much, Mayor Derek Wood, already for that. How can I say it? Big nugget or small nugget or great one. My goodness, I'm just so thrilled with already what you share. But prior to me continue on that, let me acknowledge an ambassador who is watching us all the way from Zambia, correct? Ambassador Fred Masumba, all the way from the southern province of Coman, Africa, in Zambia. Wow, I'm telling you, man, that's beautiful. Thank you very much for tuning in, Ambassador Fred. We love you at MBN. Thank you. And Mayor, you just touched on something that is usually people overlooked it.
Yeah.
You said your gift makes room for you. I'm having an echo, so I don't know, producer, if you could. Thank you very much. Your gift makes room for you, and that's a wiser man who ever lived, who spoke about that in the book of Proverbs 18:16. So people sometimes, that when they're walking out, they don't even understand that they have a domain called their gift, into which they could actually have a dominion over it, and so that dominion that they're having over it will cause them now to tap into the arena, which is called kingdom access. And so you share also something with the brother of the prodigal son. We usually focus on the prodigal son, but we forsook the reality of the brother who was always in the presence of the father and having access to all the things, but never used it, his access. He never used the authority. He never used the power given unto him, extended by the Father, to say you could have access to everything that you need. Everything that you needed is right there. But he never used that access that has been extended unto him to be able to become who the Father actually extended him to be. I like that you say ambassador don't give their own opinion. Rather, they represent their country perfectly. And ambassador, everything that they need, the home country provided unto it. So they don't even need to struggle for anything because they just have access. That's the key. And not what you know that matter, but what do you do with what you know? Please, Mayor, continue on this topic. I'm just loving it. I just wanted to highlight that which you've spoken already. Wow.
And if I could give you a definition, like access is liberty. It's the ability to enter or approach, to pass and to form a place or to communicate with a person or a thing. And so when you think about access, you have the ability to access that which is already in you, recognizing that your destiny is not ahead of you, but it's trapped on the inside of you. And we know, and you may or may not know, but the wealthiest place in the world right now is not the diamond mines, it's not the oil fields, it's not what they're fighting for in Ukraine with all of that copper and that stuff right now. But the wealthiest place in the world right now is the graveyard. It's people who had all of this potential, gifts and talents that were trapped on the inside that they never released, they never accessed, right? And so they took and robbed the world of their gifts. They never released what was on the inside of them. They had books that they never wrote. They had songs that they never sang, paintings that they never painted. They had like movies they probably never produced. Some people probably had ideas to cure various diseases and sicknesses, but they never released it. So they kept all of this potential trapped up on the inside, not realizing that they were robbing the world to access the gifts that they had on the inside of it. Like your gift isn't for you. This is, I hope you don't miss this. The gift that you have is to benefit the rest of humanity. It's to benefit the rest of the world. Just think about it. The parts of your body. Let's take your hand. Like your hand can do nothing for the hand, but the hand attached and utilized with the rest of the body has a huge benefit. There's a great benefit that you take your gift, your hand, and you use it for the rest of the body. Your gifts, your talents that's been given to you, that comes natural and it's easy to you, but it's difficult to others. Like people are searching for what you have, and you have to release. Like there's a certain responsibility and there's a certain level of work on the inside of you to release what you have. And it's easy. People come to you for it all the time. You haven't even identified it as a gift because it's so easy. But it was innately built inside. Like who you are was already built on the inside of you. You just have to become, right? Become who it is that you are. Continue to do what you do naturally so that people will be attracted to your gifts. And your gift is so valuable, right? It's so valuable that people will begin to give you all the resources. Like you got access to everything you need because of the gifts that you have, right? Your gifts add value to other people. Let me say that again. Your gift adds value to other people. Your gift adds value. And so the more valuable you become, the more wealthy in this physical planet you become, because heaven has to release everything that's owed to you because of the value. Think about it, right? And once you become an ambassador and your citizenship and all of that takes place, then you're in a position where everything you need will begin to attract it to you. Think about heaven. Heaven, the streets are paved with gold. Right down here, they value gold, but heaven gold has no value. They walk on it. They tread on it, right? So meaning the only currency that's accepted up there is your faith, is your belief system. And it comes with you now knowing that the access that you have to your own gifts and talents, and as you develop it, as you begin to share it with the world, as you continue to create your value, watch everything you need begins to expose and begins to really be attracted to you. Most people are stuck where they're at because they don't realize the access they have to all of heaven's resources, just if they could just walk by faith. Like if you just take and believe, right? Solomon say, as a man think of, that's who it is. Believe that what you have, the world is looking for. Like they're going to be attracted to you. Think about it. If I can give you an example, if y'all remember our brother Joseph, he was locked up in jail. The guys couldn't even remember his name, but they remembered he had a gift. They remembered he had a talent, and his talent was interpreting dreams. And so although they couldn't remember Joe's name, when the Pharaoh needed somebody to interpret their dreams, they remembered they had access to a guy that interpreted their dreams, and everything they said came true. Yep, this guy got a gift. And so they remembered the gift. If you take access and really develop your gift, people might not even remember your name. They might not remember where you work or what you do, but they're going to remember your gift. And they're going to call you out by your gift. They're going to remember, I knew this young lady who had this great YouTube show, and she was very good at producing it. I need to get on it. Might not remember her name, but they're going to remember the show. And the show was broadcast all over the world. Like, what are people saying about you? Like, you might not remember Michael Jordan, but you associate Michael Jordan to a whole industry, basketball. When you think of Tiger Woods, you associate Tiger Woods with an entire industry, golf. Like, what are people saying when they mention your name? Like, have you identified and attached yourself to your gift? Because your gift is how people should begin to identify you. And so you have to access your gift. People know me by certain things, but they know that I'm a leader. I'm a leader in the area of barbecue. I'm a leader in the area of politics. And so when they think about me in the area, they associate me with these different industries. They associate me with barbecue. They associate me with being a government official or governing authority. And so when you begin to really get domain or get kingdom over your gift, and you begin to access who you are and really begin to develop, like fully develop who you are, and watch you get to the point where people are going to be attracted to your gifts. People from all around are going to start to come to you, and people are going to come, and it's not you, but it's you representing the kingdom in which you're from. You being that true ambassador of your gift and really serving that gift to the world. Ambassador, are you trying to say something? I see you.
I was just nodding because what you're saying is so good. I was just nodding. I said, my goodness, that is so true. You know, sometimes we're trying to want to go win the war, and then we forget that there is a war inside of us. We forget that that war inside of us is called gift. That domain inside of us is called gift. We forgot that Jesus said that the kingdom of God is within you. That domain is within you. So go access that domain that is within you. And once you access the domain that is within you, then now you pull it out, and my goodness, that while you put it out there, what happened? People begin to now search you out. And you say something that I also like. That I would just say, woo. When you say your gift add value to people. But how can your gift can add value to people if you do not understand what type of gift you have? That's why first I say You need to access the kingdom, the domain that is in you. So once you access that domain that is in you, then now you put it out there. That means that when you put it out there, now you begin now to add value to people, because people begin to search you out. And the more valuable you say, the more value you add to people, the more weightier you become. People are running, they want to be rich, they want to be wealthy. But the wealth is inside of each one of us. Yeah. Mayor, you touch on saying that. I mean, I'm just getting download of revelation based on what you say. I'm kind of, my goodness, kingdom, domain. Your gift is the domain. And where is your gift? It's not out there. It's in. And Christ said, the kingdom of God is within you. Your domain is actually trapped within you. I don't know whether somebody is getting this revelation. Your domain, your king domain is trapped within you. Mayor, my goodness. Wow. I want to highlight the comment of Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith says something great, recognizing great mayor, there will recognizing everything we need comes from the Father. Wow. Beautiful. Can you unmute yourself, and then you can go ahead.
Let me tell you, because your Father, your Abba, is your source, right? And so everything that needs to survive needs to stay attached to their source or their resource, right? And our ultimate resource is our Creator, right? And so think about it. If we stay connected to our source, that's where we really discover who we are, because who we are was always in the mind of our Creator. It was in the mind of our Father, our Abba, our source, right? And so when He created us, most of the time we try to ask somebody else who we are rather than going to our source, right? And so if you detach from your source, or like say I unplug the lights from the power source, then the lights will go off and the lights will cease to exist. Just like us, when we disconnect from our Father, then most of the time we begin to have an identity crisis, right? We don't know who we are because we don't know whose we are sometimes, right? And all we got to do sometimes is go back and read the manufacturer's instructions, right? Because he left us some basic instructions on how we should function. He left us a blueprint on how to really access every single thing we need, but we got to get into it. And the certain things to get into it, to really find out who we are, to find out where we're gifted at, to find out, the area that we're supposed to lead in, the area that we're supposed to create so much value. It's already on the inside of us. We got to become, babies are developed from within, and it's a process. It takes 9 months. It don't just happen overnight, but that baby develops over some weeks until you give birth. Like there's ideas that come to you over and over again that you fail to nurture, you fail to develop, you fail to put any work to bring it forth, and then you see somebody else and that person do it, and they don't do it to the standard that it should be done. So you get mad, you get angry. Remember Moses, right? That thing that made him angry was actually the problem that he was put on the world to solve. Like the thing that you have domain over is the thing that really continues to agitate you, that thing that continues to bother you, that thing that you can do better. You're like, man, I can do that better. Moses was watching the slaves get beat. He was like, wait, they look like me. They're being oppressed. Like, I can't sit back and be quiet. And it was that one time that he saw somebody get beat that he just, like, his anger went to another level, and his anger turned to rage, and he ended up killing the slave master that was beating the slaves. Went into exile for about 40 years or whatever. All of a sudden, God, his Creator, he said, listen, Moses, like that anger, I can use it. That's your gift. That's your talent I've given you. You are the solution to slavery. You are the solution to freeing the people that look like you. I need you to go back and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Right? It's something on the inside of you that's really making you mad. It's so much rage on the inside of you, and your creator is saying, that's where you can bring me the most value. You have the solution to that problem. I need you to go back and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Right? And so you got to recognize that thing that's making you mad, that thing that's bubbling up on the inside. That's your gift. That's your talent, because you got ideas, you got solutions to make it better. Like, God never gives you a finished problem. He took the chair and he hid the chair inside of a tree. Like, he hid everything because there's a certain level of work and development that has to take place so that you can continue to have access. You can't just sit back on the sideline, not recognize that he gave you access to everything you need, and it's according to your domain and you giving value. I hear you, Ambassador Lawson. Go ahead.
My goodness, God never gave us the finished product because there is a certain level. Oh my goodness. Because there is a certain level of productivity adding onto it that need us, so that he have given us that ability and that access. Thank you for that word. Thank you, Mayor, for just adding that. People are having the crisis of identity today because they've been detached, they've been disconnected from their source. And that is why we see some people, they are confused, they are depressed, they are suppressed, I don't know all what they can say, but because they have been disconnected. Yeah, God never give us the finished product because there is a certain level of productivity that needs to be released. And that needs to be released. Why? Because he gave us access so that we could access back to him, so that could be released. I don't know whether people are getting that. I don't really know whether people are getting that. God, he made everything on purpose and for a purpose. I mean, he's just, thank you very much, Ambassador Fred. That is great. Thank you. So God made everything on purpose and for a purpose. Even though he's sovereign, he himself limited himself because he gave us access. Because he wants us now to use the given authority, that ability, that access to cause the things that he wants to see on the earth and the world to be manifested. Kingdom access we're talking about. And kingdom citizen, all kingdom citizens have that access, especially those who are in good standing with the king. Kingdom access is the topic. And the kingdom citizen with good standing with the king have the access. Mayor, can you please tell our audience, using your own example, how, because when you were talking that people that God gave us and what is that in you that caused you to be mad? How living in Dumfries, you were so mad of the thing that was going on in your city that you said, no, God gave me the gift and I'm going to step in and I'm going to do it now. And by the way, let me tell the viewer that also where they could find your book, and you could also tell the viewer where they could find your book. So, Building Business Credit, lesson you won't learn in school, by Dr. Derry Hood.
I appreciate you. Yeah, that book, they can find that book on Amazon. They can find that book on Amazon. And it's funny because, one of the things that frustrated me, or one of the problems that I want to put on it, just to talk about my journey. For those who don't know me, I am the mayor of the historic town of Dumfries in Virginia. We are the first chartered town in the state of Virginia back in 1749. And what was interesting about my journey was I didn't even watch politics. I knew nothing about politics. I wanted no part of politics. But it's in I wanted to barbecue, and barbecue was the thing that I used to feed my family. Like, barbecue is ultimately my gift. And it's the gift that opened the doors for me to get into politics. And I know you're wondering, how did barbecue open the door to get into politics? As you know, like, what your gift is, and you have to develop your gift, right? Understand how you're designed to function. And it's you being in the right environments to develop your gift. You know, in the process of me developing my barbecue gift, of course, I was in certain environments that prepared me to be a leader of my gift. Me and Ambassador Lawson, we came up as mentors of our spiritual father, Dr. Miles Monroe. And he would have global leadership conferences for us. He would have a kingdom training seminars, and he would pour into us, right? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. So I would continue to get full on leadership principles, the spirit of leadership, the leadership spirit, principles and powers of vision, right? All of that was in me. So when the time came, and I ran into a serious situation where we went through in the U.S. We had, well, it was a global pandemic where there was a housing crisis in 2008, and the housing crisis forced me it deployed me, right? I was yeah, let me say that I was employed, but during this housing crisis, I was deployed. And I went through a major housing crisis myself, right? And through that housing crisis, it forced me into an environment where I had to be around people who were didn't have a voice that was being heard. And so I'm around them, and at the same time, I'm working on developing my gift, right? My gift of barbecue. So yes, I go back to school. I really hone in my gifts, because sometimes education and degrees and titles, they just qualify you to be heard a little bit more. You don't necessarily need it, right? A fish never has to go to swim school to learn how to swim.
Absolutely not.
But a fish naturally swims. But in our current culture, sometimes you have to, you go in there just because it qualifies you a little bit more to be heard, right? So I get into a certain school of thought. And so I get into these schools of thoughts on, barbecue and the different type of cuisines. Anyway, I get to a position where I'm barbecuing, and I created a partnership alliance with a coffee shop, dessert shop. And the local government says I can't do it because they don't have any laws in place that allow me to do it. So I get this notice that says cease and desist, where they just totally kicked me off the side of the road. Wow. At this point, all of the business owners at the time were frustrated with the local government, and they said, hey, you ought to come with us to the town council meeting. And I was like, what is a council meeting? Right? I had no clue. So I went in there, and there was an opportunity for the citizens in the community to speak and address the council with their concerns. And I remember stepping up saying, you don't have laws that restrict me from doing what I'm doing, and you don't have laws written that allow me to do what I'm doing. So why would you shut down my livelihood? Now, inside of me developed the anger for the leadership ability and the talents that was into me. See, most people, they miss the opportunity that comes in your trials and that come through your crisis. Right? James 1:2 says, count it all joy when you go through different trials and tribulations, knowing that the testing of your faith produces more long suffering. I know it's patience. And they say, let patience have its perfect work so you can be complete, lacking nothing. Now, never waste a good crisis. Now I'm in the midst of a crisis. In a crisis, it's only what you call it, because you don't see what's there. You see what you've been programmed to see. Because I was in the right environments, I was programmed to see a dangerous opportunity, right? So when I see a crisis, or when I'm in the midst of a crisis, I don't call it danger. I call it opportunity. And so I said, as I'm going through this crisis and they kick me off the side of the road, what new ideas, what are you developing me for? Because I've learned never waste a perfectly good crisis. And so as I'm in the midst of this crisis, I hear my source telling me, based on the information that's been downloaded on the inside of me, that I now have to become the solution to the problem. And in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm just solving my own problem. But I told you your gift that you have is not for you, but your gift is for other people. So God created a problem within me by forcing me to get kicked off the side of the road to realize that I needed to step up and lead, right? I had to lead this community and eventually become the chief ambassador of the community, right? The one who represents and put the community on their back. And so at this time, they say you ought to run for council because your voice and the ideas that you have is very unique. We haven't heard it before, right? And because you're not designed to think like a group, but you're designed to think like an individual. You got gifts and you got talents. And my thoughts all came from a higher source. It came from the King of Kings. And so all I did was apply the principles of the kingdom into what I was doing, into understanding that without a vision, the people perish. And I developed the vision for where I saw the Creator taking me in this space. I looked at what the community need and I developed a plan moving forward. And I said, man, the place that we in, initially I looked at it from a barbecue standpoint because my gift, it was barbecue. Barbecue took me to the town hall. It took me to the place where now I'm involved in politics. And now I was like, okay, what do we need for this area? Well, we need a place where people can just come to and not just go through. And so my mission statement from that time being forth was I was going to make it a destination place that people from all over the region would come to over and over and over again. Now, I had a vision, and all I did was have the vision. It's not my responsibility to figure out how the vision was going to come to pass. My job was to recite the vision that was given to me. And I just knew that all the resources because of that vision was going to come to pass. And it might not be me who was going to make the vision pass, but as long as I wrote the vision, I made it plain, people started to be attracted to the vision. So as I put the vision on, I ran for local office. The initial election, I lost, right? Because sometimes you have to lose because it forces you to develop. I had to then get in the environment. Every industry has its own language, right? There's a heavenly language, there's an earthly language, and every sphere you get in, you have to learn the language of that sphere. So government and politics had its own language. I had been in military, I've been in barbecue, I spoke those languages, but I had to learn the language of government in which I was in. And so I had to fully immerse myself in learning government and politics and learning that democratic and how it stands and what motivates and what excites. So I fully immersed myself in learning the language. And as I learned the language, I got access to the system, right? As I became a student, I studied to show myself approved. So I didn't need to be ashamed when somebody asked me a question, but I could rightly divide that industry that I submersed myself in, right? So you got to become a student of your gift. You got to become a student of your talent to develop it, because the more you learn, right, where your attention goes, your energy continues to flow. And I begin to attract energy to that level. I wasn't going to run. They came and they sought me out and they said, we loved you in those debates and we want you to get in port. And now we want to teach you. And so another essential part, if you're taking notes, I had mentors. Right. I became a mentee and I sought out mentors who would teach me about the industry. Right. And mentor gives you the fast pass. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. My mentor saw something in me and I saw something in my mentor. And my mentor then took me further along in politics and said, here is how this industry works. And from there, those mentors began to school me. And I went on to win by a landslide in my election of November 2012. And I won. Your mentorship gave me the fast track. It gave me the fast pass to success. And so it was key for me to win. And it was at that time after I won, 2 weeks later, there was a church dedication in my community. Dr. Miles Monroe came. And he stood at that time, and this was the prophet's voice. He stood in front of the mayor, the entire church at that time, and said, my son is going to be the mayor of this place. And I had just I still at the time wasn't fully in line with being in politics and in government. but the voice of the prophet said you were going to be the mayor. 6 years later, I became the mayor. But it wasn't without process and trial and errors, because I had to develop. I wasn't fully engaged. I had to learn the job. I had to become a student of it. I had to have mentors. I had to really get engaged with the community and be the voice. I had developed not just my leadership spirit, but I had to get the spirit of leadership down on the inside of me. And then I was able to take and transform other followers in the community into leaders. And now they too are becoming change agents, right? So then the next part of it was we not having a mentor-mentee relationship, but me to go out and look for successors and then to begin to train other mentors. And that's really what Kingdom Access and really developing your gifts is all about, right? How can you help other people develop and find their gifts? How can you give other people the gift of clarity? How can you help really take your anger and the thing that makes you mad? Like, I thought I was just solving my problem, and now I realize that the whole community needed somebody who represented their values, somebody that represented their culture, somebody that had some ideas that was from another far off country that they wasn't hearing before, because this world was bankrupt of ideas. And I had to bring ideas from another country that would help this community thrive and grow beyond a level and at a pace much faster than it was growing. And that was all because I brought a certain anointing, I brought a certain favor to it, right? Because of the access I had to the kingdom of heaven.
My, that is awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that, because when people are talking, usually when they don't say things that they are living or how they went through it, usually people do not really grasp it, or people do not see themselves in doing. But what you said, I'm pretty sure that people who are watching today and those who are going to watch even after we are off air are going to grasp all the nuggets that you shared just by sharing how on what caused you to be mayor today. And I just wanted to highlight again what Ambassador Fred Musumba said. He said that other platforms are watching you, are listening. Mayor Derek with other platform. That means that he shared the link with another platform which they are watching, even though we may not see them, but they are listening right now. And what you say, usually even now that we are still in the, I could say, COVID environment or whatever, this is a crisis, and you point something very crucial. I remember being in Switzerland when that crisis of 2008 hit America. It was just devastating to see how people were losing their houses, losing their job, even family were going up and down. But how you under the thank you very much, thank you yeah, Kingdom School. Oh wow, thank you very much. Say hello Kingdom, hello Zambia Kingdom School. Let me just shout hi. Let us shout out for Zambia Kingdom School are listening. My goodness, thank you very much, Ambassador Fred. You are truly a gem for the kingdom of God. Continue the good work, Ambassador. I remember in 2008, back I was in Switzerland when that crisis hit, and how you took. I remember that year Kingdom Summit, Papa was talking about changing, and also in the leadership he was talking about how and what was going on in America and how it's going to affect the people. So for you to be under his authority at that time and to understand with the way that God was ministering to you, you say that people were coming to Dumfries. They were just passing through. But there was something in you that was hungering you. That you said, I don't just want people to be passed through here. I want this place to be a place where people go through. You have through and to, which are two different things. So the anger that God put in you and you were making your barbecue, and they told you, no, you can't do it anymore. So that rose a hunger in you, and you say, no, something needs to be fixed. Be an ambassador, and from the other kingdom, God deposited in you a great gift. That gift, because you were doing it, open another door for you to be able to be now no more a victim, but a change agent. So you, from the place of the victim or being victimized because they shut out your livelihood and said, no, but thank God for the people and for you knowing the law. So you went by, you said, oh no, let me check here. It is not written in your law. So why are you shutting down my livelihood? It is not written. So why am I saying this? Because, I have to reiterate this in the other way so that people could get in what you were saying. Something happened, and they were trying to shut down your livelihood, giving you an excuse that the law said, but you went back and checked the fact actually and said, oh, no, there is no such law. So why are you closing down my livelihood? And that caused you to actually not tap into another level of understanding of the laws and how government function. And so then, having mentor, you now learn it. You say, no, I need to fix this situation. I can't let anybody else, because you were actually nurturing your gift. And God said, okay, at the given time, this is the crisis. I'm creating this crisis for Mayor Derrywood to step into it and to take my kingdom into the field of government in Dumfries, Virginia. And that is what happened to you. My goodness. So I don't know whether people are getting it, that sometimes don't look at crisis as crisis. Look at crisis as opportunity to launch your gift. Look at crisis as opportunity to launch into the deep. Look at crisis as an opportunity that opens doors for your kingdom of God to be in that place that the kingdom of God was not before. Because remember, you are an ambassador or you are a kingdom citizen, you have access to the king. So the king now bringing you into that field is actually, so, okay, this is my access person. So therefore, everything Mayor is sharing today, all the nugget, all the information that he received from our Papa, Dr. Miles Monroe, and for downloaded by the Holy Spirit himself to him, it's not just for him, it's for all of you that he's sharing this so that you could benefit and you could see and not having to shortcut or not having to try to cut off what God is causing you to do. Thank you very much, Ambassador Fred. Thank you, thank you. So, and then you say, I love this one by Papa. Papa Man said, you have to become the solution to your own problem. Have you become the solution to the problem, or have you become the solution to the prayer that you pray? He said, answer the prayer that you pray. Wow. Every industry has its own language. Mayor said. So yes, you have a gift, but you need to refine the gift. By refining that gift, that means you need to go into that industry where you want to go and source it out and check what you need to be able to be the voice in that industry. Mayor, please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow.
And here's the interesting part of that, the impact of your gift. We know Nassau, Bahamas is 7 square miles. The town of Dumfries is 1.5 square miles.
Wow.
From this little town in Dumfries, Virginia, this vessel, this gift is impacting the entire state, which is also impacting this entire region with transportation projects, with developing other leaders around the state who are taking on these other communities. I become a leading thought leader in different areas. And it's all from this 1.5 square mile different place that we're in. And so your gift, it doesn't matter. I just want to encourage somebody. It doesn't matter where you're at right now, how small the area is. Your gift will make a global impact on the world. And what you have will impact all over. Right now, we're impacted internationally based on what we're doing right here in this area. We're able to be stretched and pulled on different boards, commissions from all over the coast. And so I just want to tell you, what you have, the world is waiting on, right? You have to take action. Like there's from potential to purpose, you got to travel across that bridge called process. There's a process and you got to work. I'm not telling you it's simple, but it's not easy because it requires work. The only reason God is holding back the rain in your life is because you've refused to work the ground. You've refused to work and release your gift. Like God has given the rain to you once you work, once you travel across that bridge of process. And so it's simple, but it's not easy, but because it requires some action on your side. You releasing your gifts, you releasing your talent, you having access to the domain on the inside you, like a seed, like the mangoes are inside the seed. But in order for the mangoes to come out and develop, the seed has to be planted in the ground. It has to be cultivated. There needs to be sunlight. There needs to be water. There needs to be certain nutrients, and the weeds got to be picked up, and everything got to be toiled in order for this tree to grow and harvest the mangoes. Just like what's on the inside of you, you need to be in the right environment. You need a certain type of watering. Every now and then you get clogged up with weeds, and those weeds need to be picked out, and you need to be watered with the right stuff. You need to be cultivated. And so there's a certain level of cultivation and things that need to happen for you to access your gift. Remember, your destiny is not ahead of you, it's trapped on the inside of you. The best way to predict your future is to create it. And you already got access to everything you need. You just got to believe it's there. I remember when Dr. Miles told me he wanted to mentor me. It was in the midst of this housing crisis, 2009. I had nothing. He said, I want you to come to the Bahamas. And the first thing he told me, he says, listen, I just want you to make a decision. Right? He didn't give me a chance to make any excuses, because most of you making excuses about why you don't want to develop but he said, make a decision. This is in May. He wanted me to come to the Bahamas in August. Just June, July. That was less than 90 days. He said, come to the Bahamas. I'm starting a Kingdom training seminar and a mentorship program. He said, make a decision and watch the Kingdom give you everything you need based on your decision. Listen to me. Your access starts with a decision. Some of you are afraid to make a decision. I made a decision. God gave me the ideas that I needed to create the resources. Less than 90 days later, I'm flying to the Bahamas, and now I'm being mentored by one of the most graceful, the master teacher of the Kingdom has ever had. And it was all because I made a decision. And some of you are afraid to decide. You're afraid to kill off everything else and to go all in on what you have. And once you make that decision and fully commit to who it is that you see God making you, and don't just put your toes in the water, but fully submerge yourself until there's a permanent change, and watch what happens.
Oh, my mind. You knock it, Mayor. You knock it out. The decision is what is required out of us. Decision. And I remember that
I was in a crisis. I had no money, I had no resources, but I made a decision by faith because I had the spirit of the lion, and I just knew that I got to get to this lunch that's over there for me. And I made the decision, and I'm flying on a plane, staying in the Wyndham on Cable Beach, and I'm exposed, and I'm stretched beyond to a point where I can't never return back to my original strength just because of the power of a decision.
That is so true. How much and how many times people miss opportunity because they are afraid to make a decision. I remember when Papa always say, all what you need is just making a decision. Don't even think about how it's going to come to pass. If you believe God, just make a decision and He is going to bring it to pass. He said, He said to us, He said, I'm traveling always everywhere. People ask me, what did I say? No, I don't even take care of who is going to pay or what. I just make a decision. And that was something that was transformational in my mind. And people were asking me, how have you been traveling with him into Israel for over 10 times? Just a decision. I never knew how I would get all the money, but just a decision. I decided, and you say it clearly, that you also have to find a right mentor. And once you find the right mentor, do not just sit your feet, but submerge yourself into it. That's two things that is required. Because why? Mentor are fast track for you to go where you want to go. So it is a prerequisite to have decision and a mentor. Wow, Mayor.
Yeah, my mentor is without the global leadership seminar that we will have annually, and being around ambassadors and prime ministers and other mayors and other thought leaders, I wouldn't be like the success I'm experiencing is a result of that direct mentorship. The last conversation me and Papa had, it was in the bathroom. I don't know what it is about coming in and out of the bathroom. He says, I have so much I want to teach you about government and politics. And I believe the last Bible study series, he personally created it for me. It was about success and influence, and it was about government authority, the last theme that he had. And it was teaching me how to be influential, teaching me how to really, like, that whole fast track and those lessons have been very instrumental in my success. It's had the biggest impact on my governing authority outside of learning how to really govern the system and being a part of the system, from a kingdom aspect of being able to be there. So I tell people, your mentors, choose your mentors, pursue your mentors. It's not your responsibility to figure out how it's going to happen. Your responsibility is to make the decision, to decide, and then to take steps towards whatever it is. But if your why is big enough, because why is purpose. Why deals with purpose. And remember, where purpose isn't known, abuse is inevitable. Like, there's a normal use and then there's an abnormal use, right? And so if you can define your why, the how doesn't matter. Think about it. Can I illustrate that for a minute?
Yes, please.
Think about it. If your why is big enough, the how doesn't matter. Okay, we just had a mass shooting at an elementary school, Uvalde, Texas, right? And it dealt with a bunch of kids. You had these police officers trying to figure out, how are we going to go in there and save these kids? But you had one mother. She had a why. She had a purpose. Her kid was there. The officers were meeting for 30 or 40 minutes trying to figure out how. The mother had a why, went around the back, climbed over the fence, got into school, got her baby out of there, and got back while they were still trying to figure out how. But the mother had a why. And her why was so big, it drove her to save her baby and got her baby out there. Have you defined your why? Have you defined your purpose? Because where purpose isn't known, abuse is inevitable. And so once you just define your why, and your why is big enough, the how doesn't matter. The how is going to figure it out for itself.
Wow. Beautiful said. I just said, wow. Beautiful said. Thank you very much, Mayor Derek Wood. My goodness, I don't know whether we have some question or not. So if we have some question, or if not, I may have something coming up to my mind that will be pointing me to a question. Do we have a question, producer? If not, how can someone find a great mentor? Thank you. How can someone find a great mentor or a right mentor?
Yeah, so what they can do right now is find somebody that is operating in their gifting. You find somebody, right? And then begin to pursue your mentor, right? For me, it was just getting around serving my mentor, right? So if I would purposely go on my mentor's calendar, right? And eventually, when I became a mentee, they would send us the calendar, and I would find out where he was at in driving distance. And wherever he was at, I just wanted to get in the room. Not for the sake so I can get in there and take pictures, but I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how my mentor operated around the business. I wanted to learn how my mentor operated around government. I wanted to learn how my mentor operated in there. I wanted to see why he did certain things. I wanted to help my mentor hold books for him and work at his table, right? So I found somebody who I wanted to be mentored by, and I pursued until my mentor slowed down enough and let me catch him, right? And so mentor became mutually beneficial. Every time I showed up to see my mentor, I was bringing what I had, which was my gift, which was barbecue. I would bring barbecue rub. I would bring barbecue ribs, right? And so my identity, right? Even if my mentor didn't remember initially at the beginning my name, he remembered that's the barbecue man, right? And so my mentor began to identify me with my gift. And so you have to pursue a mentor who is speaking to your gifting, who's speaking to your area that you want to be mentored by, right? And sometimes your mentor is going to require an investment, right? Most people don't understand there's two books that tell your life story. One is the Bible tells your life story. The second one is your checkbook or your bank account, right? And so we know what you value based on where you put your treasure, right? The Bible says where your heart is, we can tell by looking at your treasury, right? And so your heart is your subconscious mind. Like we know what you value subconsciously or, overtly or covertly by what you spend your money on. And so if you really value mentorship, if you value education, if you value your gift, your bank account should reflect. We shouldn't see Netflix, HBO, ESPN, right? Entertainment and food, right? Because if the most of your money is being spent on entertainment and food, then we know that's what you value. And so when it came time for me to get into a mentorship program, and it was probably unheard of in 2009 at the time. Like now, mentorships are becoming more popular, but we actually paid to be a part of a mentorship program. And there was monthly correspondence and there was monthly homework. Like the mentorship was all about development. And so in finding this mentorship, there were certain levels, level 1, level 2, level 3 that you had advanced on based on where you were at that time. And so you pursue your mentor, you serve your mentor, and then you invest in your mentor. So I give you 3 things to find a mentor. Pursue your mentor, serve your mentor, and then show your mentor that you value them by investing in them.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful answer. Thank you very much, Mayor Wood. Beautiful, beautiful answer. Wow.
Yeah,
pursue your mentor, find your mentor, and invest in your mentor. I mean, invest in your mentor, I mean, you serve your mentor as you invest in yourself.
Yeah.
So don't cause your other book, which is your checkbook, to show HBO, Netflix, or the restaurant and whatever, but shows the place that you value. I love it. And many people, sometimes they want a mentor just because they want to have a picture and post and say, oh yeah, this is my mentor, I'm posting the picture. But their life does not even reflect the life of the mentor.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. A lot of times people, and your mentor going to take note. He knows who's there to serve or who's there just to try to get a level of celebrity.
Exactly, for the fame.
I was there to be a servant. I was there when he got there. I would pick up the books. I would carry the books. I would get the bags. He would pass me the camera. He would say, take pictures. I would walk around and take pictures. I didn't even know I was a photographer. He would give me his camera and I would have to take pictures of everything that was going on and just go around. I didn't know what I was doing. Then he allowed me, because of my servant, he would say, okay, come on, we're all going out to lunch or we're all going out to eat. And I would sit at the table and I wouldn't even say anything. I was just quiet because I was observing. Your mentor allows you to observe him. And I'm sitting at the table with all of these big pastors and business leaders, and I'm just sitting in the back as a servant, sitting at the table learning, right? And so I got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I want to listen twice as much as I speak. And it's the observation of your mentor that I think you get to learn the most. Like, it was me having that level of access because of my willingness to serve my mentor, right? And I just showed up, and I know he noticed. He was in Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia. He was in New Jersey. I show up to New Jersey. He was in Maryland. I show up to Maryland. He was in DC. I would get in the car, like wherever he was at, along this East Coast, I would try to just show up. And I would come with a gift. I don't know what it was about just showing up with something, and I make it that. And I remember, Mama Ruth, she never remembered my name, but she always said when she saw me, she said, you got some ribs for my husband? And she would say,
oh, that's a funny one there.
And she was a vegetarian, so she didn't eat any meat, right?
No, exactly.
And so she would say, you got ribs for my husband? And so she knew me even by my gift, the barbecue man.
That is how you pursue the mentor. That is how you invest in the life of the mentor, as you invested in yourself. Serving, investing in the life of your mentor as you invest in yourself, and that will automatically elevate you. Automatically. You don't even need to stress out for it. Automatically, because sitting at the table of all those quote-unquote big people, and there you are sitting with him.
And it's funny because the word Kingdom Access, I developed it at the first Kingdom Training Seminar. I took my video camera. I had a little camcorder, and I started documenting those encounters with how everybody felt. And I would just turn the camera on and said, what did you experience at this seminar? And I would start recording stuff and putting on YouTube. I remember Dr. Richard Kendall, he said, man, you're like the Arsenio Hall of the kingdom, like your interview style and me being able to really document it. And I said, you've been watching Kingdom Access, and I would record everybody that I would encounter and meet during that time frame. So it was great learning to be under that type of mentorship. And it's interesting today that when sometimes I'm in a conversation, that I forget like that Dr. Miles Monroe is this giant in a lot of people. And some people are just now discovering him. And when I have conversations and say, oh yeah, Dr. Miles Monroe said I was going to be the mayor. And people are like, what? You knew him? You shook his hand? Like, where did can I shake that hand? Like, I've had people, like a guy just 2 weeks ago, I had been around this guy for 2 days. He was a video guy in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm there, and he does stuff for Willie Moe Jr. and Dr. Eric Thomas and some of these guys. And I just told him that, yeah, so I'm a mayor, and because I got exposed to politics from Dr. Miles. And he said, wait, and he literally started shaking. He was like, you knew Dr. Miles Monroe? And I was like, yeah, that was my mentor, that like he trained me. And so just the power of the mentor being able to pass the baton on. Like, he didn't just build buildings, he built people. And because he built us, people are able, like you're able to see his impact still on a whole new people who are just discovering him, because the principles that he taught and gave us access to is timeless.
True. And I just say 100% true. We live it, and we thank God for Papa Miles, thanking him for not being selfish, but for living his life in such a way that today we could identify ourselves with him, because there's certain mentor out there that you don't even want to be close to. But he says something. He said, I'm living my life right, not because of me, but I'm living my life right because of you, my mentee. That tomorrow, when I'm no more around, nobody will have anything to say against me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the legacy? Such a legacy. Oh, we're so thankful for his life and so thankful for that privilege, because we never even knew that those years, that was a privilege. You know, for us, we're just, okay, we're paying and we're doing the requirement and everything. But today, we see the value, the access that God actually calls us to have through this mighty man of God. And that is why I and the MBN team, we just couldn't stop doing what we're doing, because we have receiving too much, not just to do it. We don't want to rob our generation. We don't want to be the thieves. We want to release every single thing that we have received. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Derry. Do you have any final remark? I think that we have no more questions. Do you have any final remark and anything that you want to recommend to our audience and the people who are watching live now, and the Kingdom School in Zambia, and all of those who will watch later on, please?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that the greatest tragedy in life is not death. You know, the greatest tragedy in life is to live your life without really discovering your purpose and finding your gift. Like, and we want you, like, we implore you to rob the grave of your gifts. Meaning, don't take what's in you to the grave with you. Release it and leave it to the world, right? And the greatest enemy of potential, right, is what you've already done, right? It's comparison to what somebody else has done. Like, you're running a race that's your race, and you can't look in the person that's running to the left or the right, but you have to compare it to, are you living the best life that you're living? You can go from good to better until you've reached your best. And then there's still more that you yet can do, because potential is who you're supposed to be, but you have yet to become. It's all the things that you can do, but you aren't yet doing. It's everything that you should have, but you yet don't have. The greatest tragedy is to look back 10 years from now and to have regrets about who you didn't become, to have regrets about what you didn't do, about having regrets about what you don't have, because you have not released everything you can do. You're living mindless and being contained and entertained by your television, because they're telling you your vision rather than you developing your own vision for your life. Develop a vision for your life. The greatest tragedy is I think Helen Keller said, is not that you have sight, but the really not to be blind, but to have sight but no vision. Develop a vision, expose and develop you, because your destiny is not ahead of you, it's trapped on the inside of you. Be the best version of you that you can.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Be the best version of you than you can. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Wood, all the way from Dumfries, Virginia, the state, the #1 state of the United States of America. Wow, wow. My goodness, this was an awesome, awesome show. There are a lot of revelation that have been shared today, and I'm trust that you, our audience, you have been tremendously been blessed. Now, one thing again we're going to ask of you is, please do not keep all the knowledge, the information, the nuggets that you have received today from Mayor Wood for yourself. Try to sit down and rewatch this video. I'm going to say, like Papa Mas would say, 7 times, so that you will get all the revelation. And once you watch it 7 times, then now you could say, let me share what I have received. And thus, you will cause the people to also benefit for that which you receive, and you won't be a thief too. So be the media evangelist that you are. just by sharing this broadcast with all your entourage. And you could follow us on YouTube. I hope that you already follow us. If not, please, you could go on our YouTube channel and don't forget to click the bell so that you will get always a notification when we are live. We have the Facebook channel, we have Instagram, we have Rumble, we have BitChute, and we have our channel also on Twitter. We also have a Podbean. If you don't want to just sit down and watch the video, you could listen to the podcast. You could listen to the same video, but in the podcast, in the audio form of Podbean, where you could download all that and you could put it as a playlist and you could just be listening. That's how you can increase and be able to develop the potential that Mayor just spoke about. Remember that potential is in you, but you need to become all that God has already spoken. He has spoken past tense. You need to become present and future. So you have the process of doing it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Wood, and for all your family and the Dumfries. I still have to come up there, but not when it's winter, because I know it could be very cold there. I have to come when it's summertime so that I could enjoy the barbecue. How about that? I can hear you because you are mute, so we could wave there. You could unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yes, listen. We appreciate what you're doing. You letting your light shine so bright that the world is making known what you're doing as an ambassador for the kingdom. Your gift is making room for you. I decree and declare that this is going to be one of the premier shows on the kingdom in the world, and that people are going to be attracted to this and they're going to continue to receive it, because of your faithfulness and your consistency. A lot of people start something and then they stop it. But your commitment to stay all in, meaning you're committed. You've decided that this is what you're going to do, and you and your team are doing it. And it's that consistency, this full body of work, just like Papa. When Papa did it, Papa left us a full body of work. And although people might not have seen it initially, people are discovering it over and over and over again. And so we appreciate it. I look forward to even seeing you take little clips from this and even put little clips of this up so people can really go back and to chew on it, almost, because I learned that the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And so to take little bites of this and to continue to put those up, I think will be a great thing as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We receive all Mamlaka Brokers Network team. We receive that blessing. We receive those decrees. We receive those prophetic words. And we say, thank you. Thank you very much. Mayor Wood, this is not going to be your last time. So watch over again for your calendar. we had to fine tune again with you. I know you are very occupied with what you're doing, but watch over your calendar. Then let's see again how you could come and impact really our audience with the vast knowledge that God gave you. Kingdom Access with Derek Wood, the mayor of Dumfries.
Yeah, tell them check out my website, derekwood.com, if they want to support the campaign. We're actually up for re-election. So if people want to go to derekwood.com, they can read about my platform, what I've done, what I've accomplished. And if they want to actually sow a seed in there, they can actually sow a seed in there to help me continue to stay in this position and to be an impact in this community, which is impacted the world.
Thank you. Thank you. It's right there on the screen for all of you. It's www.derekwood.com. Please go on that link even now, and then you could actually see what Derek Wood is doing. Mayor Derek Wood, you could actually, if you feel that the government is your feed, then this is a way you could connect with him. And because he has been there already, I think that's the third time you run it, or the fourth time you run it. You've been mayor for twice, or 2 times, or the third time now.
Council, this would be my fifth election.
Yes, your fifth election. Can you imagine that? That means that truly Kingdom Access is working through Mayor Derek Wood to be able to be elected 5 times in a row in America. I'm telling you, this could only not be but God, because you have the connection and because you have that access. So whoever I'm talking to now, who desire to go into the government or who desire just to have an impact in his community, please get in touch with Mayor Derrywood at derrywood.com, and you could also please try to help him stay in the government by just lay a little offering or an offering or whatever the Father lay in your heart to bless him with. It has been my privilege today to host this show, and as we always say in our MBN, as we wave ourselves back and wave ourselves out, we are all kingdom citizen, kingdom ambassador, kingdom diplomat, kings and queens. So Mayor Derrywood, now we give us the salute, Mayor Derrywood. I think that we give a king salute. Thank you very much, Ambassador Fred. Thank you, Ambassador Fred. As we wave back, we waving now. We waving the king salute, Mayor. I think that Ambassador Fred is going to have you once in his kingdom school to teach, so he's going to connect with you, Mayor Derrywood. Thank you very much for your privilege, and for all of you for the privilege of your time. And bye-bye.